Hey, good evening, seventh graders. So just thought we'd get together here a little bit, talk about our next two groups of animals that we're going to be studying, and those are the endotherms. Now, you realize that the first three groups of animals we've discussed, fish, reptiles, amphibians, those are all ectotherms. They're cold-blooded organisms. They have to have the sun to help heat them up. Their body temperature doesn't stay a constant temp. It will drop, it will warm up, all of those things based off of the sun. The last two groups of animals we're going to study are warm-blooded. They are endotherms, and those are going to be the birds and the mammals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you guys through some notes that I have for both those groups. You're going to have to use a piece of notebook paper or something that you have lying around at home, because what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up making a T chart. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you guys to make something that looks just like this. Okay. If you got to pause the video, pause the video. If you got to take a screenshot, whatever it might be. But notice up at the top, I've got it labeled as endotherms. If you want to put warm-blooded right after it, that's fine. And then on either side of the T chart, we're going to have two different groups. We're going to have birds. We're going to have mammals. Okay. So make sure you guys get a chart that looks just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and get started taking some notes and giving you guys some notes and information about these two groups so that you have something that you can use to help you study. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with birds. Birds are going to be the next group of animals we talk about. You're going to work on them a little bit today. You're going to work a little bit on them tomorrow. On Thursday then of this week, we'll focus on the mammals, and Friday we'll start to wrap everything up by doing a chapter review, just a little something to get you guys thinking about those five groups that we've been working on. So here we go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and put up my set of notes first. And what I want to make sure that you understand is I have extra stuff on here. I have flight adaptations written on here. You can certainly write them down as well. You're going to be doing notes tomorrow on the birds about flight adaptations. So you guys can, certainly do it now, not worry about it tomorrow, or you can wait till tomorrow. I don't really care. Whatever you want to do, just make sure that you guys get these things down. So let's go ahead. I'm going to kind of split this a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the birds first. All right. So the first thing that I started with were the flight adaptations. And I'm going to ask that you guys know at least three major flight adaptations. So some of the really easy ones are the fact that birds have hollow bones. Okay. Humans, we don't have hollow bones. We have very dense bones. One of the reasons birds are able to get off the ground so well is because they have a much lighter weight skeleton than we do. So hollow bones are certainly going to be one of them. The fact they have wings and consequently feathers that are attached to those wings, those are going to be good things that are going to help them be able to achieve flight. They have really, really strong flight muscles. So a lot of birds have really, really, really large muscles in their chest regions. And those are going to be the muscles that the birds use to help them actually generate the lift that they need to be able to get up off the ground. The last thing, guys, they have a really, really efficient respiratory system, which basically means they can get oxygen into their bodies not only while they inhale, but also while they exhale. They actually have an extra set of almost like lungs that allow them to be able to continuously move air throughout their body because of the high amount of oxygen that's going to be needed for these things to be able to fly. That is a really, really cool adaptation that they have. So those are going to be the flight adaptations. That's the first thing that I wrote down. If you got to pause it, pause the video, go ahead and jot them down. I'm going to keep moving on. The next thing we'll talk about that makes birds a little bit different as endotherms go from mammals. Just a second here, my phone's ringing. All right. Birds actually have curved wings, and that curvature of their wings does a really, really awesome thing. It allows them to create lift, which is going to be able to get them up off the ground. Now, there are exceptions, obviously. Ostriches, penguins, emus, they can't fly, but most other birds can. And those curved wings that we have right here, that's going to be a reason why. Okay. Right here, guys, I'm going to have to flip it a little bit so I can see. I talked a little bit about that efficient respiratory system. So basically, when a bird's both inhaling and exhaling, they are taking in oxygen, which allows them to be able to really actually get a lot of that into their bodies. It's really, really, really cool. Other things that I have about the birds, guys, some of the uses for them. Obviously, number one, we use them for food. Okay, I love chicken. I don't know about you guys. I like to eat turkey too, but those things are a good food source for us. A lot of people, if they don't like dogs or cats, they might have them as pets. Okay, birds are great pest control. They are going to take care of a lot of the insects and things that are going to be not so nice that we don't like. They help to pollinate plants. We'll talk more about that when we get to the plant section couple weeks down the road here. But birds are great pollinators as well. And I think the last one I have here, oh yeah, they help to spread seeds. And it's not necessarily in the way you'd think. It actually is through their poo. When a bird digests seeds, it actually doesn't digest them fully when it eats them, and some of those seeds actually get dropped out in their poop, and those seeds actually will be able to grow. They're actually going to be viable. So kind of a really gross fact, but still something kind of cool. And then the last thing I have about the birds here, guys, is the ancestors. We have two fossils that we think of as the most common ancestors for birds. One of them is Archaeopteryx, and one of them is Proto-Avis. So scientists believe that these are the two ancestors. Archaeopteryx is one you guys have probably heard of because that also is one that many scientists feel is actually going to be one of the relatives of dinosaurs. So anyway, there's a little bit about the birds. We're going to go ahead and jump over to the mammals here in just a second. All right, so here we go, guys. Moving over to the other side of our T-chart here, we're going to talk a little bit about the mammal group. I'll try to get it centered as best I can. All right, so when we talk about mammals, a couple major characteristics that stand out right away. Number one, we have hair or fur, and we produce milk for our young. We are one of the only groups of animals that actually provide those things that provide like milk and nourishment for our young. Birds do too, but we actually, as mammals, are able to produce that and feed our young doing that. So those two characteristics right there are going to be the major things that are going to set mammals apart. Some of the other things that mammals have that are going to make them much different than the other groups of animals, as you can see right here on my second bullet point, almost all mammals have specialized teeth. So our teeth are specialized for a number of different things that they do, everything from shearing to gripping to tearing to grinding, all the way back with our molars. Those specialized teeth are always based off of the diets that we have. Okay, so we know that predators, carnivores, they're going to have much sharper teeth. The shearing, they don't actually have molars. They have a specialized teeth that allow them to shear. Whereas herbivores, like elephant, they're going to mainly have either just the teeth like this, like we have in the front here, just to nip off things, and then they have the big molars that help to grind them up. So specialized teeth are going to be definitely another characteristic that mammals have that other organisms maybe don't. When we get down here, third one, we have by far the most complex systems of any animals on Earth. We are, I don't want to brag, we are the most intelligent animals, though. The ability to reason, the ability to use tools, those are very, very high level things. And that is something that's usually only found within the mammal group. So pretty awesome there. All mammals are going to reproduce sexually. Not a lot of asexual reproduction that's going on there. Okay, I'm not going to elaborate. You guys get the picture. But this is the part I really, really want you guys to focus on. And that's going to be this part right here, these three groups. We have three different categories of mammals. You're going to want to know them. So make sure you jot them down. You're also going to want to make sure that you get some examples of them. So let's go ahead and go through them. The first group are called the monotremes. These are kind of the strange mammals because these are egg-laying mammals. Now, most animals are going to give birth to live young. Most mammals are. There are only 6 types of mammals who do not give birth to live young. Those are the monotremes. They include echidnas, of which there are 5 different varieties, and the duckbill platypus. Okay. Our next group, the marsupials. These are going to be mammals that give birth to immature young. Actually, in the case, I was just doing some research here, guys. In the case of the kangaroo, their little joeys, when they're born, are roughly about the length of the last digit of your pinky. So they're like 1 inch in length. They are born, they crawl up into a pouch, and that is where they finish their development. So guys, as you can see, marsupials are going to be the pouched organisms, mammals, and they include the kangaroo, the wallaby, the koala, and the only North American one, which is going to be the opossum. All other groups of mammals are going to fall into the category of placentals, and that is going to be us. Humans are placentals, as are most other organisms: elephants, dogs, cats, lions, and tigers, and bears. Oh my, we're all placentals. We develop inside of a womb, inside of the mother's body. Now, it takes a different amount of time. We know that rodents like mice and rats and rabbits can reproduce very quickly. In the case of some rats, guys, they have litters like every month and a half. In humans, it's 9 months. In elephants, it's almost 2 years before they give birth to a baby. So placentals, really unique group. Just make sure that you understand that we develop inside of the mother and are then born after a specific period of time. Go ahead and just disregard the page numbers. We actually aren't going to be using those, so don't worry about that. The final thing that we're going to talk about with the note sheets here are going to be what mammals do. So mammals do a lot of really awesome things. We're great pest control. Okay, if you think about food chains, predator-prey relationships, there's a reason that herbivores don't just dominate the planet. Carnivores keep them in check. Great pest control. We also help to pollinate plants. It happens. Okay, you're walking through a field, that pollen from those plants gets onto your clothes. When you go to another place, it's going to get spread that way. And then, guys, also with the dispersing of seeds. Now, again, just like the birds, not all seeds are going to be digested within the animal. So sometimes when an animal eats and does not digest those seeds all the way, they're going to go ahead and spread them through their poo. One of the other ways that we do that, though, is we actually will have seeds that attach to our clothing or to our fur if we're out walking in the woods. And cockleburs are a type of seed that are dispersed by attaching and then falling off. So we do help with that as well. And what I'm really trying to get at here, guys, with this whole sheet is I wanted you guys to make sure you had some notes on the endotherm groups. I'm going to look over top here. And just make sure that you guys have some of the basic characteristics of this group of organisms. Okay. If you have any questions, make sure that you don't forget to shoot me an email. Remember, I still have office hours every single day, 9 to 10, noon to 1. I'm always happy to chat with you guys. Send me an email. If you want to do some sort of a Zoom message or a Zoom conference, we can always do that as well. If not, guys, hopefully you guys are staying safe. Miss you all. Hopefully we get to see you guys again here soon. Take care.